Chapter 22. This chapter is all about fair housing, Americans with Disabilities Act, equal credit, and community reinvestment. This chapter really is about discrimination, and we know that discrimination is when people are treated differently. So we have protected classes. So a protected class is going to be a group of people that by law are protected from discrimination. So here we have the Fair Housing Act of 1968, and we also have the Equal Housing Opportunity. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination concerning the sale, the rental, and the financing of housing based on the protected categories that you see listed here. The Equal Housing Opportunity is about lenders denying someone credit. So in the middle block here, we have protected categories or protected classes. You cannot be discriminated against based on your race, your color, your religion, your national origin, or your sex. And those categories that are in that middle block there apply to both fair housing and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. If you look at the block on the left side, fair housing also includes familial status and handicap. If you look at the block on the right side, Equal Credit Opportunity Act includes also public assistance, age, and marital status. So you cannot be denied credit based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, public assistance, age, or marital status. And then for fair housing, you cannot be denied housing based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, familial status, or handicap. What are some things that you might do that would be illegal? So refusing to sell or to rent or to deal or to negotiate with any particular person based on those protected categories would be an illegal act. Discriminating in terms or conditions for buying or renting housing, and then discriminating by advertising that housing is available only to certain types of people. Here we have some other things that you're not supposed to do. Denying or making different terms or conditions for home loans by commercial lenders. Denying to anyone the use or participation in any real estate services, such as brokers, organizations, multiple listing services, that kind of thing, based on a person's protected category. And then we also have steering and blockbusting. So in the next two slides, we're going to talk about what steering and blockbusting are. Here we have steering. Steering is the illegal practice of directing home seekers to particular neighborhoods based on their race, their color, their religion, their national origin, handicap, that kind of thing. So this is where you say, hey, listen, you know, there's a lot of Asians that live in this neighborhood over here. So you're Asian, you might fit in better if you move into that particular neighborhood. That is what we would consider steering. Blockbusting. Blockbusting is the illegal practice of inducing panic selling in a neighborhood for financial gain. So this would start with one person who induces another person to sell their property on the cheap by stating that an impending change in maybe the racial or the religious composition of the neighborhood is going to cause the values in that neighborhood to fall significantly. It's going to cause crime to increase. The school qualities are going to go down, that kind of thing. So like say, for instance, you go to a person in a particular neighborhood and say, hey, listen, there's a motorcycle gang that's moving in here. They're like Sons of Anarchy. And if you don't move now, the neighborhood is just going to go down, right? The school system's going to go down. There's going to be drugs. There's going to be, I don't know. I mean, lots of different types of things that would go along with gangs, right? That is an example of blockbusting. You can't do that. This is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and this was enacted in July of 1992. It deals primarily with commercial properties. So when we're talking about commercial properties, we need to make sure that they provide access requirements for people with disabilities. So for those of you who might be in construction management, you've probably heard a little bit about this before, right? The doors have to be a certain width. You have to have elevators if the building is more than one floor. The handrails that you see in the restrooms, those are because of the Americans with Disabilities Act. You have to have handicap accessibility, all those different types of things. So for places of public accommodations, these are required. If you have a standalone single-family home that you're renting out, you're not required to make it meet all of the standards of ADA. If you are building a brand new apartment complex, you do, okay? So it basically applies to apartment complexes and commercial buildings, retail spaces even, they are required to comply with ADA. This is the Community Reinvestment Act, and this is a federal statute that encourages federally regulated lenders to increase their participation in low-income areas. So what they're doing is they're looking to expand that concept of communities needing to address the fact that more people should own homes. This is the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act is important because if you apply for credit and you're denied credit, then the lender actually has to give you a written notice of the reasons why your credit was declined. Now, this is important because if you know the things that are wrong with your credit, then you can fix those problems. Some of the reasons why you might be denied credit would be maybe you're unable to verify your references, maybe you have temporary or irregular employment. Keep in mind, guys, when you guys first get out into the workforce and you start working, if you hop from job to job to job, that is going to prohibit your ability to purchase a house. They want to see employment in one particular place for an extended period of time. So if you're jumping around from job to job because you can't find one that you like just yet, you might have to wait a little while to buy a house. Insufficient income, obviously, would be a reason why you would be denied credit. Excessive obligations, meaning you have a lot of debt. So you need to take care of some of that debt, wipe some of that debt out before you can actually obtain a loan. Maybe you have inadequate collateral. Maybe you're delinquent on your obligations. If you have a lot of credit cards and you're not paying them on time, obviously that's going to be a reason why you could be denied credit. But it's very important here just to note that if you are denied credit, they have to tell you why. So if you know why, then you can fix the problem. And that's it. That was a short chapter, right? Here are some of the terms that you need to make sure that you understand that go along with this chapter. And I'll see you on the other side.